Welcome to Duck Season Somewhere podcast. This episode is brought to you by the following sponsors. For 365 days a year, it's duck season somewhere at Ramsey Russell's GetDucks.com. The world of duck hunting is way bigger than our backyard. The very best duck hunts in Argentina and Mexico are only the beginning. We specialize exclusively in 6 continents worth of proven waterfowl hunting adventures. Whether you're looking for a unicorn species or a fun trigger pulling vacation of epic proportion, we've got the right hunt dialed in. Real duck hunts and authentic experiences for serious duck hunters. As a genuine American duck hunter myself, I know the difference. Founded in 2003, GetDucks.com is not just what we do, it's all we do. I've been there personally many times. Our reputation speaks for itself. Anita and I are personally available to assist before, during, and after your trip because you deserve nothing less. Looking for something closer to home? The next great hunt is closer than you think. Contact proven operators throughout the U.S. and Canada at our U.S. hunt list. Explore worldwide duck hunting at GetDucks.com. All package details, photos, videos, stories, and thousands of client testimonials right there at your fingertips. GetDucks.com. Ball Shot Shell's copper-plated bismuth tin alloy is the good old days again. Steel shots come a long way in the past 30 years, but will never, ever be like good old-fashioned lead. No way. Say goodbye to all the gimmicky, high recoil, compensation, science, and marketing hype, and hello to superior performance. Know your pattern, take ethical shots, make clean kills. That is the boss way. The good old days are now. It really is duck season somewhere for 365 days per year. Duck season somewhere takes me year-round to worldwide destinations where I visit with the most interesting people. I'm your host, Ramsey Russell. Join me here to listen to those conversations. We started last Friday with a ban of 15,000 quote-unquote black guns in Canada. That made a lot of headways in social media, but this week a real bombshell exploded when Canadian Shooting Sports said that this affected 12-gauge and 10-gauge shotguns. So the big question is, can you bring your shotgun to Canada this season? Some guys are saying it's fake news. Other people are saying, wait a minute, if this can happen in Canada, it can happen again. Today's special guest is Tony Bernardo, Executive Director of Canadian Shooting Sports, who can shed some light on what the heck is going on with firearms in Canada, our neighbors to the north. Tony, how are you today?
Well, I'm just fine, Ramsey. How are you?
I'm good. Good. Man. Say, well, first off, would you please introduce yourself? Let folks know who you are and where you work and what you do.
I'm the Executive Director of the Canadian Shooting Sports Association and Canadian Institute for Legislative Action. We do political and advocacy work in Canada, a whole bunch of other good things too. That's just one of the things we do. And we're presently defending our shooters against the order in council that the federal government has brought down. Now, a little bit about me. I'm a shooter. I'm a hunter. I shoot waterfowl. Got a couple of black Labrador retrievers. I'm a happy guy. Well, I'm a happy guy until the federal government starts messing with me.
No doubt. Well, look, if you're a goose hunter and you've got a couple of black labs, I come to the right place for information. I trust you already. Hey, real quick, Tony, gun laws are a little bit different in Canada than the United States. Good and bad. We have talked about this earlier. How would you compare gun laws in Canada versus the United States to start with?
Well, they're both middle of the road. I mean, there are lots and lots of states that have much looser gun laws than Canada, but there are some that have tighter gun laws than Canada has, and there are some things that we're allowed to own that you guys aren't allowed to own, and vice versa. But by and large, they're not really all that much different. The differences are largely semantic and more administrative than they are in terms of practical use. We can have as many guns as we want. We can have as much ammunition as we want. We got a zillion places to shoot, hunt, and fish. So we're doing good.
And you know, I've always respected, speaking of hunting, I've always admired, I should say, the fact that the Canadian government recognizes or seems to recognize sport hunting as a valuable tradition. A lot of the laws, a lot of the legislation around hunting, in terms of when you get out in Western Canada, the way they administer leases and stuff, it favors the local kid that might want to come up into hunting. So it seems to me a lot of the laws have been written to favor, you know, the opportunity for young people to have places to hunt. What about, but getting back on gun laws, handguns. I know that when I come across the border every year, I have to leave my handgun down south. Is that because handguns are prohibited up in Canada, or?
Well, some handguns are prohibited in Canada. Those would be like the small ones. For some reason, the federal government 25 years ago decided to prohibit anything with a 4 1/8 inch barrel or less, and anything that was 25 or 32 caliber. And you know, it was supposedly to stop Saturday night specials, but we never really had an issue with them anyway. It was all about, you know, optics, right? And virtue signaling and all that kind of nonsense. But other than that, handguns are legal in Canada. You can't carry very easily. Carry permits in Canada, while they exist, they're almost impossible to get. Mm-hmm. However, we have lots of handguns. You know, I have a huge collection myself, and I target, shoot, and recreate with them all the time. And people are allowed to have them. And you know, black rifles. We've had no problem with black rifles in the past. We started importing ARs in 1964, and from that date to now, we have had exactly one shooting with an AR-15, one. And thankfully, the person didn't die, but that is the only experience we've had with them. And the government decided that they should ban them because CNN keeps telling us all about the mass murders that are happening with them. So
yeah.
So
liberal, you know, anti-gun narrative. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know, the virtue signaling, if nothing else, right?
Yeah. I like that concept, virtue signaling. That's a new term for me. But I know too. Just to give a little depth to this, you know, here in America, when we go buy a gun, I go buy a new Benelli shotgun or new handgun or whatever. I have to go through. I have to fill out a lot of paperwork there at the counter and get checked through a system real quick before they'll let me leave the store with it. Is it similar in Canada?
No, not at all. In Canada, we have a firearms license, and the license is issued by the RCMP for acquisition and possession of firearms, and it's good for a 5-year period, and you can get licenses for restricted and non-restricted. Restricted here would be handguns, stuff like that. So you can get a non-restricted license. As a matter of fact, an American can get a firearms license in Canada. All you have to do is pass the exams. Oh. And it's mostly safety oriented in terms of the exams. We don't really have too much of an issue with it because gun safety is always a good thing, right? So when we want to buy a non-restricted firearm like a shotgun, we walk into the store, we show the man our license, we give them the money, and we walk out with our gun. That's it.
Wow. Well, if I were as an American to get that license, would that enable me to then drive across the border with my handgun?
Yes, no. I don't mean to be vague, but it's complicated. Okay, like okay. You have to be going somewhere. Like the permits to transport handguns are quite a bit different than the permits to own them. So if you were going to, say, shoot a match in Toronto, yes, you could have your permits to transport your firearms to the match in Toronto, but you couldn't go the opposite direction, you know?
Yep. The places I go in Canada and have gone for 20-something years to duck and goose hunt are like stepping back in time to Mayberry with Andy Griffith. I mean, everybody's friendly, everybody's nice. I've never felt like I needed to carry a handgun for personal protection. You know, here in Mississippi, we have concealed carry. I can carry a gun anywhere, anytime, except for federal places and different things. But at the same time, if I want to go to McDonald's, if I want to go to the movie theater and I want to carry a firearm for personal safety, as long as it's under my coat or in my back pocket, unseen, concealed, it's perfectly legal. We got just a concealed carry rule here.
Right.
And and as somebody that drives from Mississippi 30-something hours up to western Alberta, 2:00 in the morning at a truck stop on the side of an interstate, I kind of feel comfortable having something like that. There's some crazies out here in the world. When I cross the border into Canada, I never feel like I need one. But it's always been an issue because I've wanted one during those long drives to the border. And so
I understand.
That was just curious to me, and I was curious if, because I've always had to just stop, see somebody, and leave my gun with them until I get back across the border.
Yeah, the reason concealed carry laws have never become popular in Canada is because, quite honestly, we don't really need them.
Yeah, right.
Crime is like very, very small in Canada, especially violent crime. And most Canadians don't feel a need for it, so they've never pushed for it. And while we have the ability to get one, it's really complicated and really involved, and the permit is mostly illusory.
Yep. Well, let's get to the topic, because I know a lot of people are wondering. Last week, I became aware that 15,000 black guns had been banned by hook or by crook there in Canada. I looked through the list. I didn't see Benelli shotguns. I didn't see anything that would affect me because, hey, I love sexy black guns. They're fun to shoot. They're fun to hunt hogs with. But at the same time, I don't go to Canada to shoot ducks and geese with those guns. So, hey, not my problem. It didn't affect me. But then a couple of days ago, I became aware your organization was saying that, hey, this does affect shotguns. It can affect shotguns. What happened? What law did they use? How did this come about? Why do y'all feel that way now?
Well, okay. What happened is, first of all, the ordering council that they brought down actually bans 105,000 of them by name. Oof. And virtually all of them are what we would consider to be black guns. None of them have been much used in crime. I think in the total list, there's 3 or potentially 4 crimes since we started keeping records of this. However, what they did was they put in a couple of clauses at the bottom of the Order of Council. They banned any firearm with a bore diameter greater than 20 millimeters. They also banned any firearm with a kinetic energy, capable of kinetic energy, higher than 10,000 joules, which is about 7,500 foot-pounds. Okay, now the reason they did this stuff is they were specifically trying to capture some inert grenade launchers that have come into Canada in the past. We've actually been importing them for many years. And they're a pipe because they don't have any grenades. The grenades are unavailable. The grenades are totally prohibited. And most of these things that we're talking about, they haven't had grenades made for them 30 or 40 years. So there's zero issue with these. They're simply pipes. But they get real nervous about it. So they put this 20 millimeter rule in. The problem is the RCMP have confirmed they are following 20 millimeter bore guidelines. Now follow me through. And that the bore is measured at the widest section the projectile passes through with any removable items removed, i.e. chokes, muzzle brakes, or other muzzle devices.
So,
well,
okay.
when you take the choke out of a 12 gauge shotgun, it's bigger than 20 millimeters.
Some of them are. It probably doesn't affect all shotguns, does it? You think it affects all 12 gauge?
No.
There are probably
it affects most 12 gauge.
Most 12 gauges.
Most 12 gauges. Like for example, we did some measurements. A Beretta 686 was 20.1. A Maxus, a Browning Maxus, was 20.8.
Okay.
A Parazzi competition gun was 19.5, so it was a hair under.
Okay.
But you get the drift that most of the guns, particularly American-made guns, and I'll tell you why in a sec, they tend to be on the thicker side. And everyone we tested was over, everyone. The reason they're on the thicker side is we have our steel shot regulations. It's not like a Parazzi where it's only being used on a track field with lead shot. We have steel shot regulations in North America, so that the chokes have to be pretty substantial to take the beating that steel puts on them. And a lot of people using 3-inch magnums, some using 3.5s. These barrels have got to be built. So they've got big, thick, substantial chokes. And when you take the choke out, the hole in the muzzle is pretty big. It's over.
Yeah. Well, as compared to guns of yesteryear, back when all of us duck hunters were shooting lead and stuff like that, to balance that energy equation, they've increased the speed, which have increased the bore pressure, and a lot of American manufacturers, a lot of contemporary shotguns have bigger bore diameters than to accommodate those pressures for safety. So that makes perfect sense. Well, tell me this: what law? Because it's all time. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, last week, wait a minute, right in the middle of a pandemic, they're coming out. What law was used? Do you think it was COVID related? I mean, how did they do this, and why did they do it at this time?
Okay, it's a combination of things. Back 25 years ago, when we had our Firearms Act created, the one that gave us all these restrictions in the first place, when they created the Firearms Act, one of the things that they put in it was a provision for order in council. Now, an order in council is sort of like an executive order, but it's way weaker, way weaker. Usually, order in council has two purposes. One is a purpose that is inconsequential. And I equate that to, we're going to change the color of the paper from taupe to beige. Okay? The other one is time expedient. Time expedient, i.e., the Russians have just landed on Vancouver Island and we have to mobilize the army right now. Okay? Yep. Those are the two uses of order in council. Well, the Firearms Act added a third one. The government could ban firearms by order in council.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what they've used for the first time in 25 years. They used order in council because they can unilaterally make the decision and just ban them. Now, it's regulatory. It's regulatory in nature. Regulations have to be put into a document called the Canada Gazette, which is like your Federal Register.
Federal Register, right.
The Canada Gazette goes in front of the public, and a new regulation is up there for 30 days for public consultation before it becomes hardcore law. Well, in this particular Parliament, we are under emergency provisions within the Parliament right now because of COVID. We have skeleton Parliament, where we have very small numbers of MPs discussing the country's business, and they rotate all the time. They have a couple of meetings a week that are virtual, and they do them over a Skype-type platform called Zoom. And right now, the House of Commons is completely and totally crippled in its ability to make legislative decisions. So this is the perfect time. If you're going to put something through that's unpopular, this is the time to do it. And they took advantage of the COVID emergency to slam this thing through.
Oh, they sure did, didn't they?
They sure did. See, COVID's not the only thing up there that makes people sick.
What was the public, I'm asking you a before, during, and after kind of question, what was the public response to this anti-black gun legislation? What was the general Canadian public response to this legislation before and after y'all announced the implications of the deports of shotguns? I mean, could you see a different? What happened? Tell me what happened after they did this in Canada.
Well, honestly, what happened when they first put it in was most of the public went, "Yeah, let's get rid of those black guns."
Yeah.
And sadly, a huge number of hunters felt the same way. We call it the FUD complex, and it's the "I'm all right, Jack" response. They're not after my shotgun, so I'm okay. I don't care if they take your assault rifles. You see?
Mm-hmm.
And the general feeling with the public was happy. They want them gone. They don't like them. The only people that want them to stay are the people who own them, of course. And I'll tell you, the media is complicit in this. The media has taken the page right out of the Democrat Party, and they are talking about assault-style weapons, military-style assault weapons, these things that have no definition in law at all. None. And the media's adopted these pounding scary stories out day after day after day to the point where people don't know what to believe. All they know is that military-style assault weapons built to military specifications to kill as many people as possible in the shortest amount of time, well, that's got to be bad.
Right.
And, when you put it that way, as much as it's a lie, yeah, I guess it is bad, but it's a lie. It's a total lie.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're seeing is with our public, they've been brainwashed by the media, and media simply bought and paid for. That's the way they are up here. And they didn't really have a huge pushback as we would have liked to have seen until we broke the fact that 12 feet shotguns and 10-gauge shotguns are included in this by virtue of the 20-millimeter bore guidelines.
Right.
And now everything's changed.
And then what happened? Okay, so y'all made that announcement on when? Monday or Tuesday?
Yesterday. Yeah, yesterday morning.
Okay. We're recording this on Wednesday, folks. Yesterday would have been Tuesday. And I'm gonna guess, Tony, that yesterday was a pretty busy day for it. Your phone probably blew up in all directions. Who all did you get phone calls from?
It was insane. Yeah, it blew up in every direction. It blew up with hundreds of thousands of concerned 12-gauge owners phoning us, sending us emails. Facebook page lit up, our website lit up, as hundreds of thousands of concerned people said, "Is this real?" Well, yeah, of course it's real. And then we had a whole bunch of people saying, "Well, you guys are misleading the public. It's not real." Well, it most certainly is real. And, we've got people saying, "Oh, the Canadian government would never do that to us." Okay.
Yeah.
I bet you believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, too.
Well, I know that, now explain to me before I ask this question. Trudeau is y'all's president. Who is Blair?
Okay, Trudeau is our prime minister. We don't have a
prime
president.
minister. I'm sorry,
prime minister. That's okay. And who is Blair? He's Minister of Public Safety and Security. Okay,
well, because he issued a statement saying the truth matters. Shotguns are not affected. And that they were going to contact your office. Have they contacted your office?
No, they have not.
Oh.
How about that, eh?
Why am I not surprised? So,
because he's lying.
Yeah. Wow. Spin, baby, spin.
How do you tell he's lying? His lips are moving, right?
Yeah. Spin, baby, spin. I'm really not surprised. It's all over the internet. I saw somebody sent me a screenshot of a post from Manitoba Wildlife Federation. Posting a comment that Blair said that, "Oh no, we don't want to take your sporting guns. The truth matters, But we're definitely going to contact. We're definitely going to contact Canadian Shooting Sports Association and make sure they understand. But apparently, he's not contacted y'all's office.
Of course, they haven't contacted. They're not even responding to inquiries to the minister's office because we're right.
Right.
Now, I don't believe they intended to do this, Ramsey. I think they thought they were going to go after something else. It's just another example of their complete incompetence on this file. They've been incompetent about it from day one, and they still are. Because they never consult. They never consult with the firearms industry or the associations out there. They honestly don't know what they're talking about.
Well, it's like this. It never occurred to me, in the same way that I had never thought about owning a tiger until I watched Tiger King. Holy cow, I could have owned a tiger. It never really occurred to me how fun it would be to own a grenade launcher. I think there ought to be rules against it because there's people in society, I don't want to have a grenade launcher, but man, I think I'd have fun with a grenade launcher. So they wrote these laws. We don't want grenade launchers. We don't want some of these war type military grade weapons out on the streets. But then again, they started articulating parameters for this that does affect everybody's shotgun, the 12 gauges, a lot of American guns. And so you got to say to yourself, as a gun owner, as someone like yourself, or as a duck hunter, goose hunter, wait a minute, this does affect me. This can affect me. They've cracked open the door, even if it is by accident, that can affect me. Because we all know how laws and politicians work, man. Once that door is cracked open, they're going to drive a school bus through it. So that's why y'all reacted. That's why. So what do you think? Do you think? Well, first off, let me say that. What now? Are they going? What was the purpose of y'all making everybody know, to let them know this door's been cracked open? There's a potential here for these for shotguns to be included in future legislation. So what now though? Will it affect future legislation? What needs to change or happen at this point so that it doesn't affect my 12 gauge?
They need to withdraw their order in council and hopefully leave it withdrawn, but I doubt that that's going to happen. But they need to withdraw the thing. They need to change it to reflect this. It would be very simple to say any firearm with a barrel diameter more than 20 millimeters is prohibited except shotguns.
Mm-hmm.
That's not hard.
2 words.
Yeah, 2 words, except shotguns. There you go, done. But so far they haven't done that because it's humiliating to have to withdraw their legislation. So what we have to do is continue on the path we're doing, and we will be continuing with this. And to the point where we humiliate them worse than they would humiliate themselves if they withdrew their legislation, because, my God, they'd actually have to admit they made a mistake.
And what events might transpire to get them to do that? I mean, the public, did the public start reaching out to their representatives?
Oh yeah, it's already making some mainstream media in Canada. Although the remarks by the minister that that this isn't the case. Well, it's amazing even how many people inside our community believe this man. He has a reputation that goes back many, many years as a bald-faced liar. And I can't believe that after they just...
Whoa, wait a minute. Politicians lie? Politicians lie?
Yeah, we have a thing called parliamentary immunity in Canada that makes it so that you can't prosecute a politician because they lie. Seriously.
I think that may be worldwide. I don't know.
Like I said, you can tell he's lying because his lips are moving,
Yeah.
And this man has a long reputation. He was the police chief of Toronto at one point in time and was dismissed from that because there was a G20 meeting in Toronto and they had a peaceful protest. And they did a thing called kettling, where the police corral everybody, and anyone who resisted being corralled was pepper sprayed.
Oh.
And this was done on his orders, and he was dismissed from the job as chief for putting out that order. I mean, it's just, reprehensible conduct. And, of course, now that he can't get any other job, he's become a politician.
Wow. Well, it's a it's a crazy situation, and social media is great because it's a great way to distribute information very, very quickly. And y'all's news, y'all's allegations, depending on how you want to work, y'all's news that this affects 12 gauges it blew up my feed. I was getting text messages and emails, telephone calls. We've worked for a long, 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 long time. We started essentially up in Canada. And this has got grave consequences to the many hardworking guys and outfitters I know and work with. Many, many, many of the hunters I know from the United States that make an annual pilgrimage up to the headwaters of the migration. The question burning on everybody's mind right now is this. Is this going to affect my shotguns or not? And here's the question. Can I bring my shotgun from the U.S. into Canada right now, today? Does it stand? Is this a misunderstanding, or is this tell me, Tony, how does this affect a U.S. hunter?
We don't know.
If the changes
I'm being straight. Right. Right now, as it stands, as best as we can analyze this, it prohibits 12-gauge shotguns and 10-gauge shotguns with removable chokes. That's as best as we can get right now. By the way, it also prohibits 17th century blunderbusses, too.
Wow. I don't have one of those, but I think that would be kind of a cool gun to own, too. Flintlock.
Well, it would be. Yeah, sure. But, the point of the matter is that this is a bad piece of legislation, badly thought out. We're trying to make the Canadian government blink, and I think we'll be successful. Okay? But until they actually do, we're where we are.
Talk about bad legislation. This whole subject is reminding me of Australia. We do a lot of hunts down in Australia, Australian duck hunting. Mm-hmm. Just some of the best people on God's earth. They think a lot of Canadians. I've had several of them come to Canada or want to come to Canada to hunt waterfowl also. But back in 1996, there was a public shooting, knee-jerk reaction politics. They banned semi-auto, period. Semi-automatic, anything, everything, semi-automatics are banned. Now, when we hunt down there, we use a 12-gauge over and under. But this snafu of legislation, the proposed legislation, it doesn't affect semi-autos. It means single shots, over and unders, or semi-automatic, everything, 12 gauges, which is the go-to gauge for hunting waterfowl. I mean, this is far-reaching. The effects in the economy or in waterfowl hunting would be monumental.
You and I had spoken earlier, and I had mentioned to you that usually the firearms with fixed chokes are not an issue. And then last night I got in a email from one of my folks out in the field, and he had a Benelli side-by-side 12-gauge, an old one with fixed chokes, and he had his micrometer stuck in the barrel, and it showed 20.1.
Wow.
There you go. And that was with a fixed choke.
Okay, guys, everybody listening, as the law stands right now, no matter what you read in Facebook or anywhere else, as the law stands right now, if we show up, Tony, to the border, if I fly into Saskatoon, as I drive across the border at Portal, as it stands right now, there's a chance, as it stands right now, the customs officer or whomever is going to break out a bore and measure my bore without a choke in it.
It's possible.
Wow.
Well, okay. Now, keep in touch, though, because we're thinking this is a very fluid situation and will likely change in the next few days. Okay. As I say, I don't think it was the intention of the Canadian government to ban 12 and 10 gauge shotguns. I don't think that was on the cards. So now they have to fix that problem. And simply having the Minister of Public Safety go on Facebook and Twitter and say that that's not the case. Well, you know how much politician and Twitters go together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've had a bit of experience with that?
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, hey, it's
a little bit.
The only thing I believe coming out of D.C. anymore. I don't believe anything on television, but if he tweets it, I believe it. But go ahead.
There you go. So you see the essence of the problem. I think this will change around.
Okay.
I think it will change around. But, you know, they've done some goofy things in this legislation, and we're still trying to figure out all the ramifications of what they've done. Every hour brings a new revelation. You know, yesterday, by last night, on Bill Blair's Twitter account, there were over 300 photographs of people with calipers and micrometers showing a photograph of the thing measuring more than 20 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
Over 300 photographs. Well, his Twitter feed goes down for 2 hours this morning, and when it comes back, all the photographs are gone. How about that?
What? Oh, I can't imagine.
You can't imagine. No, a politician laundering stuff? No, you can't imagine that.
No. Well, I'll tell you what. All right. So we're gonna try to get this episode aired just as quickly as possible to make people aware of it. But where can we go get the truth? How can we, American hunters that love to go to Canada, we American hunters that are thinking about going to Canada, how can we stay abreast of changing developments and know the facts? Where can we go? Lead us down the way, Tony, of how we can keep ourselves with all the BS floating around on social media. Where can we go? What can we do to make ourselves firmly aware of how this is going to affect us coming to Canada to hunt?
Go to the Canadian Shooting Sports Association website.
Okay.
When we have a success here, we will announce it on the website, and you'll be able to see that. And you know, for you, Ramsey, please keep in touch with me, and when we get something that we can talk about, we certainly will. In the meantime, you know, make sure your members know a gun is a gun is a gun. They are all the same. You can't take one set of gun owners and toss them under the bus and expect the other ones to survive it.
We're all in the same boat together.
We're all in it together. And if you don't defend them all, you'll lose them all.
That's a very good message, Tony. And you know, here in an American election year, no different than y'all, here in an American election year, I've always said we're one election away from a major life change. It's a good reinforcement message. Our brothers to the north there in Canada having to deal with this problem. It's a good take-home message to pull that election lever, get the right folks in office. Tony, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you elucidating and making clear this very hot topic right now. And like I told you last night, I will hopefully be traveling through your neck of the woods there, and I'd love to have you have a cup of coffee or eat lunch with you one day, maybe go share duck flying. But folks, thank y'all for listening to this episode of Duck Season Somewhere. Please rate and share, and always reach out to me. Let me know your feedback. Tony, we will be following up with you. Folks, hit me up at Ramsey Russell Get Duck if you've got any more questions for Tony. Otherwise, y'all go check out the Canadian Shooting Sports Association, and we'll get some good information to you. Thanks.
Duck Season Somewhere is produced by Ben Page. Original soundtrack by our friend Cody Huggins.